All in this week's video presentation, we will be discussing American Outlaws. Here is the agenda for this video. Pause if you would like to review. We will discuss 3 famous American outlaws through newspaper articles. First, we will discuss the life of Jesse James. Next, we will discuss Butch Cassidy and his reign. Finally, we will discuss Billy the Kid's death and his involvement in the Lincoln County War. The first outlaw we will be discussing is Jesse James. The name of his group was called the James Boys, and it was run by him and occasionally his older brother. When they were both really little, their father left their mother and moved to California, where he eventually died. The newspapers, when talking about the boys, blamed their behavior on their mother. It was believed that they got their fiery, passionate disposition and recklessness from her. Frank James went to war in 1861 and joined a group called the Quintralia Band of Guerrillas and became known for his murderous ways. At the time, 14-year-old Jesse James applied to join for the group as well, but was rejected. They did, however, recruit him to be a spy during the war. During this time, the entire family, even the stepfather, was marked as an enemy of the Union. When the stepfather was hanged, who was eventually saved by his mother at the last minute, they also threatened Jesse James to be hanged as well. However, he was still too young at the time. When he was finally accepted into his brother's group, it was when his mother and his sister were captured. He rose through the ranks and eventually became the leader. And a fun fact about him is that his wife did not know that he was a wanted outlaw. He told her that he was a sewing machine agent while he was courting her, and when she found out, she actually didn't care because she believed him to be extremely polite and charming. The second outlaw we will be discussing is Butch Cassidy. In newspaper articles that I found, they compared him to Jesse James and believed that he was more dangerous. A quote from a newspaper I found was that Butch Cassidy is a bad man. He is the worst man in our states. His reward had reached as high as $20,000, which is equivalent to roughly $678,000 in today's time. His group was made of over 500 men, and authority figures were powerless to him and his gang. He became such a problem that the governors of Utah, Colorado, Idaho, and Wyoming all met together to discuss how they could catch him. He had 5 camps spread out across the western parts of the U.S. and was never seen in public unless he was conducting a raid. He is considered to be the only outlaw that is remotely equivalent to Wild Bill Hickok, and is one of the most famous crimes was the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy train robberies. The final outlaw we will be discussing is Billy the Kid. One of the most famous conflicts that I found in newspaper articles was the Lincoln County War. Billy the Kid was not simply the leader of his crew, they viewed him as a personal friend. Most people that knew him personally saw him as a good guy. However, he was also viewed as a cold-blooded killer. I believe that that might have been the newspaper writer's personal standpoint and probably the standpoint of anyone who did not know him personally. The Lincoln County War began because 2 commercial groups were in the same area and one was jealous of the other's successes. As the bad blood grew between the 2 groups, it turned into war when one of the important members of one group was killed by another. To make matters worse, the person who was killed was a close personal friend of Billy's, and he swore vengeance on the murderer. The writers of the newspaper articles believed that both gangs were guilty. However, when interviewing both sides, they both believed that the other gang was in the wrong. On July 14th of 1881, Billy the Kid was gunned down and killed by Sheriff Pat Garrett. He became famous by a book that was written that is titled The Death of Billy the Kid. It was written by a deputy who worked under him during these times. Sheriff Garrett is now known as the man who ended Billy the Kid's career at 21. Here is my bibliography. Pause if you would like to review it, but I will have the links attached below to each newspaper article that I used in this video today. Thank you all for watching.